the only man you should listen to is God. And God isn't the one that created money. We did. We created the banks. We created jobs. We created factories and industries that you can work in. I recently was doing a thought experiment in my own mind about kind of why I'm doing anything that I am in the first place, right? Things get hard. Things are stressful. A lot of sacrifice has to be made. You have to cut a lot of people off, and that can lead to loneliness. This is all talking from personal experience, what I'm going through right now. I guess loneliness, lack of, I don't want to use the word motivation, it's more lack of direction. Like, there's so many possibilities, and it's hard to know what to focus on, what to hone in on, and that kind of can leave you thinking about why you're doing it all in the first place. And this is a thought experiment that I went through recently, which I wanted to kind of come on here and share it, so that hopefully it resonates with some of you that might be thinking of giving up, or might even just need to listen to something like this. I know that when I'm unsure, I like to go and sit down and listen to these kind of raw videos on YouTube from either entrepreneurs who have already made it or people that are on the come up, and kind of get both perspectives and just really try to take something from what they said. So I hope that, like those YouTubers, for example Jordan Welsh, big shout out to him, he's helped me a lot with this mental side of things. Alex Hormozi's another great one, and I hope to kind of provide that type of value to at least one of you. If I can help one of you, then that'd be amazing. But anyway, the point of making this video is, I was thinking, right, why do I do any of this? What is the whole point? And in my mind, it kind of boiled down to two separate things, two separate reasons. One is more from a perspective of leaving a legacy, and one is from the perspective of human experience, and I want to touch on both. And I'll start with the legacy. So with me, I haven't met too many family members, to be honest with you. I'm Brazilian, but I grew up in Australia, and I only am really close with my immediate family. I've met a couple grandparents, a couple cousins, but being Brazilian, I do have a large family, and I haven't met many of them. So it's hard for me to say that I know anything about our family lineage, really. I just know that most of us are poor. They're still living in Brazil, and while some of our family members have made some type of money, I think one of my grandparents was a doctor and stuff, we're a very relatively poor family, right? My parents don't make too much money. They're living a comfortable 9-to-5 life in Australia, and I thank them for that, because it's given me the opportunities that I have. But I guess the first kind of point I want to make is, I want to do something great with the De Silva last name being my last name, and be the reason why my lineage, my bloodline, never has to face poverty again. I think that if I can accomplish that in one lifetime, after however many lifetimes this bloodline's gone through, right? Probably thousands of years of De Silvas that have all genetically led up to me, I want to make them proud. At the end of the day, all of their DNA is in here somehow. I find it really interesting when people say, you remind me so much of your grandpa, or you remind me so much of this distant relative you may have never met. And like, you probably do, you probably resemble them a lot in some way, because I think we forget this sometimes, but I am everyone before me. I'm just a mixture of all their DNA and all of their emotions and their habits and their passed down information, this is a whole different video topic that I want to make, but this is how we get this collective brain, this gut feeling, right? I believe it comes down from every single one in your bloodline's experiences, which you genetically take when you were born. Anyway, I don't want to ramble on about that too much, because I do want to make a video on it. But the point I'm trying to make here is, I don't want to let them down, and I want to create something amazing for the future of my bloodline, be it my kids, my kids' kids, and their kids, and so on. Because if you think about it, everything about the world was one man with a mission and a drive, which created a wonderful life for his family, and in a lot of cases for everyone around them as well. Maybe they created jobs for people, or they were able to give back to the community, or they were able to create some type of miracle that helped a lot of people. And at the end of the day, you've got to keep your bloodline in mind, but if you can help everyone around you, then that's just an absolute bonus. So that's one of the reasons, is because I didn't really think too much of it, I'll be honest. I had very selfish intentions, but, well, selfish in terms of I wanted to help myself and my immediate family. But recently I expanded that idea because I've been kind of looking into history and into why kings and emperors did what they did. And back then it really made sense that your bloodline was everything. Like, there was a lot less people, a lot smaller villages, and everyone knew everyone and who was related to everyone, and it was your job as a man to try to make your bloodline proud. And I think that's still very relevant to this day, even though it's kind of been sedated from us, this ambition that we have as men. Now, the second point is human experience, and, well, like the title suggests, that's just trying to live the absolute best life. And there's no way in my mind that my absolute best life could be lived by listening to someone else tell me orders and tell me when I can eat lunch, tell me what I have to do 8 hours a day for 100 grand a year. I've seen everyone doing this and they look miserable. Like, sure, there's spurts of happiness, and even like my parents, I look at them and they don't seem content, and it's like, I love them for doing that for me, but I don't see how that's living the best human experience. I don't know how that's worth it. And you could argue that it's because they want to make enough money to live, but in my opinion, I'd rather be dirt poor living off of the land, or extremely wealthy and build something for myself. And luckily, being the ambitious person that I am, I've chosen to go down this route no matter how difficult. However, even if I didn't go down that route, I still would see myself rather going down the other route, especially living here in Asia for so long now. I see these local people living off of just enough to feed their families, living on the beach, and they have the biggest smiles you've ever seen. And they don't listen to anyone. They're no one's boss. They're just friendly with everyone. They genuinely seem happy and content. And I feel like that's a lot healthier of a life to live than one where you're enslaved paycheck to paycheck. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, it's all that people know, and it's very hard to snap out of it. And the same people that live paycheck to paycheck are the people that like to say things like, money's not that important, why do you want to be rich, like happiness matters more, having friends matters more, all of these things. And it's like, yes, so why don't you practice what you preach? Like, you say all of these things, but you don't realize that you're working your entire life and, quite frankly, destroying your entire human experience for money. It doesn't add up. And then you look at me like I'm crazy for working as hard as I do and sacrificing the things I sacrifice to try to make as much money as possible. But that is the human experience. It's feeling every emotion, feeling every hardship, going through struggle, making sacrifices, cutting people off, making new friends, learning new things, traveling, exploring. Like, this is quite literally, from the beginning of time, the purpose of human beings. This is why we're here. You read any book, any alibi, watch any movie, and I know people are gonna criticize that these are all entertainment and stuff, but literally just look down any form of education about history that you want, and this question of purpose has always kind of seemed to lead to one answer, which is just do things. Just like, stop being so caught up in this construct that, by the way, us humans built. The only man you should listen to is God, and God isn't the one that created money. We did. We created the banks, we created jobs, we created factories and industries that you can work in. It wasn't God. If it was up to God, according to the Bible, we'd be running around in a field with no problems. And that's kind of what we're meant to do. We're not, I mean, not necessarily not have any problems. I think problems are necessary so we can appreciate happiness when it comes, but we're meant to be running around and trying things and making the most of ourselves. That is the purpose of humanity, to expand, to build, to learn, to conquer. What is the point if you're just so stuck in a system that we built that is not God's plan? What's the point? What's the point? The only man you should listen to is God, and he's with you right here. He's in your heart. And if your heart is telling you to do something, then do that, because who actually cares what anyone around you says? Because they've got the same thing in their hearts, but they're just not listening to it. And if you listen to it and go and do it, it shows them that they're a bitch, and they'll try to drag you down for that, because they don't want to be a bitch. They want you to fail so that they have an excuse for not following what was in their heart. Don't listen to it. Even if you fail, you don't actually fail until you give up. Failure is just learning in disguise, and that has to be the most cliche thing I've ever said, but there's truth to cliches. And just don't give up. Just don't give up. Do it for your do it for your lineage. Do it for yourself. Do it because it's what God intended. Do it because who the fuck is going to stop you? Anyway, that's all from me. I hope that can help one of you at least, and I'm rooting for you.